Good afternoon, folks. Welcome into episode number 32 of Clark After Dark, as we are fresh off an awesome weekend of racing action from all over the Ark-La-Tex region, folks. We had the American Racer Modified Series at Ark-La-Tex Speedway this past weekend for a two-day special on Friday and Saturday night. But I'd say the big money hungry hounds were all barking at the big money over at Super Bee Speedway in Chatham, Louisiana. A solid field of factory stocks raced for $10,000 over there. Hey, they raced for $10,000, like I said, so it has to be talked about. I think that needs to headline the show. Cortland Smith, of course, he's my guest tonight. We're going to get Craig Pursley Jr. He's going to be our guest tonight, as we're looking to talk to Craig, kind of get into the nuts and bolts and what drives him, and how excited he was to win this $10,000, and to know that, hey, he is one of the hunted drivers now. He's not necessarily the hunter running after Faulkner and Whitehead. Like that number 56 car, he's one of the drivers that a lot of these guys know that they're going to have to beat here in a couple of weeks at Boot Hill when this $10,000 is on the line. So without further ado, I'm going to welcome my co-host on tonight, Cortland Smith. Cortland, Alexandria, Louisiana's best. How is it going tonight, brother?
Man, doing well, Zach. Like you said, what a great weekend of racing in the Ark-La-Tex, man, between Super Bee and the Ark-La-Tex Speedway. They had it covered with a 10,000 win factory stock race and a heck of a modified show at the Land of the Three Wide.
Absolutely. And of course, Bobby Pierce, he won the Sloco 50 at 34. We'll hit on that, a little bit. We got Craig Pursley Jr. on the line waiting. So we're going to get to the everything that happened this past weekend on Friday and Saturday. Cortland, we had 12 different winners in 12 main events at Ark-La-Tex this past weekend. You talked about it a couple of weeks ago, like Ark-La-Tex is it's been rebuilding into what maybe everybody had it in their mind. Like Ark-La-Tex used to be the top tier premier racetrack. I'll tell you what, it raced pretty damn good this past weekend. 12 different winners in 12 events, and Manuel Williams II got the ARM Series win on Friday. And Saturday night, the thriller Cade Dillard lived up to his moniker, and Chris Hennigan made a very rare, uncharacteristic mistake we don't typically see out of Winnigan Hennigan. And Cade Dillard went to Victor Lane driving Gary Christian's backup car. That was a Donnybrook. Like, we had a lot of cautions, but the race was pretty damn good.
That Saturday feature was spot on. You could ask for a lot more, but just like we talked about before, Ark-La-Tex kind of been building its way back up, and the way that place raced Saturday, it was a lot of give and take. The bottom fired off well, then Cade was able to get up there and give a last ditch effort to blast the top, and then end up getting underneath Chris there when he bobbled. I mean, it was Cade Dillard even said in his interview, it's not too often that you get to see the 16 car make a mistake and get to capitalize on it, and for that, just to have those two heavyweights get to race at Ark-La-Tex on a Saturday night, man, that puts you back to circa 2012. You know what I mean? Like it felt cool to see them two racing together again at the Ark-La-Tex.
Yeah, it was really awesome. And the first thing I asked Cade and Victor Lane was like, was that fun? Like, he was pretty fired up about it. Like that at the end of the day, like when you go off and you race full time with the World of Outlaws and like you race for a living, like every now and then it's nice just to go back to your home track, home state track, a place that you cut your teeth at, outside of Sabine Speedway, and just have a little bit of fun, right? Like there was nothing on the line for him just to get out there and maybe get Gary Christian's car pointed in the right direction and tell him, like, okay, this thing's ready for Victor Lane for you, Gary. But yeah, I mean, Cade was on the money, and anytime he's in a modified, he's going to be good. And man, that late race restart, it didn't look like Chris had that thing in the bag. And I'm not going to sit here and say that Chris gave it away by any means, but it is, like we said, very rare and unorthodox for Chris to make a mistake like that coming to the white flag. But hey, if you make a mistake like that and a driver like Cade Dillard is nipping at your heel, he's going to make you pay. And he made him pay.
100%. Yeah, I can only imagine what was going through Chris's head when they had that restart. I think it was 5 to go. They had that caution come out, and everything that Chris has done the last 28 laps, he's questioned everything he's done so far. Because now all of a sudden, like you said, you got one of the best drivers in the nation, let alone in the modified. You can rank him up as one of the best in the country, and just to have him behind you, it's not often that Chris Hennigan gets his cage rattled a little bit in his head and starts questioning things, but you could tell he's changed his line and started getting really wide, trying to leave the corners. I think he knew that maybe if a run was going to come, it was going to come from the top, and he was trying to block it, and he just slipped out a little too wide and got to the wall. And like you said, if you make a mistake in the 97 and the 58X driven by Cade Dillard is on your heels, he's going to make you pay.
Yeah, it was fun to watch, no doubt. I mean, tough for Chris, but, I haven't had a chance to talk to Chris after it, to talk to him. I mean, maybe he had a failure. I don't know. Maybe the right front went down. I mean, who really knows? I mean, I haven't had a chance to really talk to him about that. Like we said, we just talked to Cade and Victor Lane. So what a modified finish it was for the ARM Series. We had 34 Friday night and 36 Friday night and 33 on Saturday night. So it was a really, really solid field of ARM Series modifieds. Man, Eric Chesterman and what Trent Berry and the whole staff are doing with that series, man, it's just awesome to have great, local to regional modified racing. And then you got some of the national heavyweights pop in, and like Cade or Chris or any of these guys can win a USMTS race. Like Sean Gaddis has been knocking at the door, and he finished second on Friday night. So there's been a lot of guys who have really gained a lot of speed here lately, and it's been fun to watch. So the USRA factory stocks also were in competition, and everybody was kind of interested to see what the car counts are going to be like. Well, Ark-La-Tex is racing. Like 10 years ago, it'd have been no doubt about it that Ark-La-Tex would have had 40 to 50 cars on a weekly night, and Gene would have paid them the corn dog to win. No disrespect, Gene. We love you. and Super Bee could have been having a 5 or a 10,000 down the road. And you always it's not that Super Bee that they put on a 10,000 win race and guys aren't supporting it. I think I've just come to the conclusion that it's the location. It's not that people just don't like racing at Super Bee. I think it has a lot to do with the location. I'm not real sure, Josh. I mean, sorry, not Josh, Cortland. I was a little disappointed in the car counts between the two. Like, it was nice to see a great car count for Ark-La-Tex. I kind of felt bad for the folks at Super Bee. But when you look at the Super Bee roster, like, that was a who's who of USRA factory stock racing. I don't think the driver who wins 30K at Boot Hill in 2 weeks is going to be a driver who wasn't at Super Bee, except maybe Josh Martin, who was super fast at Ark-La-Tex. We'll get to him in a second.
Yeah, like you said, the field, the quality of field at Super B, it matched up with any other race. When you go through and look at the top 5, top 10, it's the same guys that are in the hunt every single time a big money factory stock race comes on the line. Your heart goes out to them. For whatever reason, no matter what excuse you want to make, man. And when a 10,000 win factory stock race shows up, you would wish they get a few more cars than what they had. All these guys sit here and complain about factory stock racing costing too much, Zach, and we play a 10,000 win race, and all the same guys that were complaining were at Ark-La-Tex for 750. So I'm just going to leave that there. They can take that as they want, but it is what it is. But it was honestly, man, you can't ask much more out of the racetrack. When we talk to Craig, we can talk to him about it, but he made a pass on the outside for the lead. Like, he passed Underwood on the outside. So obviously it was racy enough to make a move if you got to. And, like you said, the quality of field was still there. You wish you had more cars, but it was still a phenomenal show out there at the B.
Yeah, just to put a complete bow and a WRAP on Ark-La-Tex, Gary Harvin got the win on Friday night. Dalton Dubois scored the win on Saturday. That was another pair of the 12 different winners and 12 different main events. Josh Martin, I feel like he was the fastest car there this week and just didn't get the results to show for it. He led 19 laps on Friday night. And again, everybody may say, why wasn't Josh Martin a Super Bee? My deal is, if you have a USRA factory stock and your car was at the house and you weren't racing at either Ark-La-Tex or Super Bee, then those are the people I'm like, all right, the hell with it, But if you have a race car and you were racing and you were supporting a racetrack, then I have no issues whatsoever. Josh Martin was fast this weekend, led 19 laps Friday, rolled a right front tire off the race car, and that's just straight bad luck. Like, I don't know what more you need to say. That was truly bad luck. And then Saturday night had more bad luck. And the heat race had to come from the back of the B main and started 14th in the B. He started 14th in the A main, drove from 14th to 4th. And he was visibly the fastest car on the racetrack. He was carving like a hot knife through butter and just diving through people, passing and making his way up to 4th. If we'd have had a few more laps, he probably would have finished higher up in the running order. So you may not necessarily been racing for 10 grand this weekend, but I feel like Josh Martin has to have a lot of confidence if he can just get some of that bad luck out of the way, because, man, he was fast this weekend.
People use the term bad luck very loosely, I feel like. Yeah. And what I mean by that is, like, they just have a parts failure and parts failures happen. But with all the stuff that Josh has had happen, you could truly say he has bad luck. Some people will blame, XYZ for happening, and like, that's just part of racing. But for all the stuff that's compounded on Josh, you could truly say he's had bad luck, and he has that forced chassis. He's got it dialed in, man. He's got a hold of it pretty early on here in the season, and you could really expect him with him, and as well as CJ with the forced chassis. Both of them, man, have been really lights out fast. And when he gets this monkey off his back, I know he's hoping he gets it off his back sooner than later. But when he does, man, he's going to turn it around. It's got a good chance of being a heck of a year.
Absolutely. So that was a wrap on the USRA factory stock action as we get ready to go for 30 grand at Boot Hill and next week. I'm so excited about it. So just to wrap up a few more of the winners, Connor Mewborn got the USRA limited modified win on Friday night. The Marshall Missile, Derek Grigsby came back with a vengeance on Saturday night. But I was really impressed this weekend, Cortland. I'm not sure if you were able to watch a ton of it, but we had an 11-year-old driver in an IRP race car this weekend. Jason Ingalls sent me a text message on Saturday, and he said, dude, when you get a chance, you got to come over here and talk to this Kalen Hill kid. A youngster from Oklahoma. Dude, he finished in the top 5 on Friday night. And I mean, he was in contention on Saturday, 11 years old. started racing like mini sprints up at Port City in Oklahoma. But that young man was nothing less than stellar this weekend. Like, I was really impressed with his just his car control and his racecraft. It was awesome to watch.
Yeah, I was wondering who he was. You said a name, and it was a name that I didn't recognize. So I could sit there and start looking up, and you realize how young he is. And just like you said, I mean, he wasn't scared about it. He wasn't scared one bit. He got out there and wheeled it just with the best of them, and to come up to Ark-La-Tex like he did. And it may have only been 18, 20 cars in limited modifieds, but it was still 18 of the 20 best around here. And to come up and show out like he did, it was really impressive. And go ahead, give the youngsters some street cred around here.
Absolutely. Jason said, he said, tomorrow, if you get time, you need to come get an interview with Callan. You'll see just how much of a kid he is. Colin Bell ended up getting an interview with him, but y'all need to check that out on RaceON. Like he's a kid, man, 11 years old. He's got a bright future ahead of him. But I also feel like we need to let this kid know, like, no pressure though. Like 11 years old, everybody's expecting you to do well from this point on. No pressure, kid. Just go out, have fun, and learn at your own pace, right? Like, don't feel like the world's on your shoulders, right? You go out and have these good runs. We start talking about you, then you feel like you got to go out there and perform. Just go out there and don't lose the sight of having fun, right? That's really important in all this.
Yeah, have fun. And he obviously he's off on the right foot if he just keeps at his own pace. Don't feel like you got to do nothing out the woodworks crazy in your first couple years here. I mean, like, obviously he's shown speed. He obviously has great car control from the video RaceON that I watched. And it just learn at your own pace. That's the biggest thing is kids get these expectations. And I mean, at the end of the day, they're a kid. So like just emotions can run high and everything. And for them, don't put too much pressure on you, young man, because I promise you got a bright future ahead if you want to keep it going.
Absolutely. Our boy Craig Pursley Jr. is still waiting in the wings, so I got to hurry and wrap this up. Our boy Talon Willis got the USRA B-Mod win on Friday night. Dustin Hennigan got the win on Saturday. And I was listen, we've watched Dustin win in a USRA factory stock now, a USRA modified, a USRA limited, and now a USRA B-Mod in his young career. I'm not sure how many people can say that at 17 years old that have won in 44 different classes. Like, Dustin was really impressive driving Remington Bud's car, and he got the phone call really late in the evening on Friday, and he hopped in that mug, got a third place on Friday night, and came back, got the win on Saturday. And if you're beating Talon Willis right now when he's in that CDR 10M, like, you're doing something special. Dustin was really impressive.
Yeah, I ain't gonna try to pump up Dustin's head too big right here because I know it's already big enough. But little Henny, you got to give him credit. He hopped in that thing, got a call late Friday, and he drove the wheels off it, man. The Hennigan blood runs strong from Chris to Dustin. You can tell, like, just the driving talent them two together have, and obviously everything he's learned. When you grow up at the racetrack, you just take in so much. And we remember him running the little go-karts in the infield. I remember him doing that at Ark-La-Tex. And when you're around the racetrack, you just absorb so much as a kid and you don't realize it, and until you get older and you realize, like, all right, well, I remember Dad was in this position, so he did this and we do this. And that's, like racecraft, you can tell, like, he has the racecraft of a guy that's been doing this for 20 years. And it just means that much to be around it at a young age. And when he gets in it, he definitely shows out no matter what he drives.
Absolutely. So that's a wrap on Ark-La-Tex Speedway this past weekend for Donnie's birthday bash. Congratulations to all the winners. Like I said, 12 different and 12 main events. And happy birthday to Donnie. I have powers. And you know what? I want to go ahead and bring I wanted to get the Bobby Pierce win to the Slocum 50. He and Carson Ferguson had a great race. So I'll just quickly recap it for you folks. If you didn't see it, go back and watch the highlights on Flow. It was pretty awesome. But this event is really, really neat. It's in the memory of Brent Slocum, who lost his life at 34 Raceway back in 2005 in a crash on the Speedway. And a member of his family got up and kind of talked about what that event stands for. Well, that was Bobby Pierce's fifth win in the Slocum 50, and Brent Slocum was number 5. So they were all kind of excited. It felt like that was a good omen, and kind of like Brent was shining down, looking over Bobby, because Carson Ferguson had him passed on the white flag lap, and Bobby just sit that thing in 3 and 4 and did what Bobby does. Like, he had his foot matted through the firewall. If you watch that run off of 4, him and Ferguson were like, Ferguson had like 2 car lengths on him entering 3, and he beat Ferguson off of 4 to the checker by 3.5, 4 car lengths. Bobby Pierce is a freaking madman, Your Honor.
He Ross Chastained it into 3 and 4. Yes. He was willing to do it, and he knocked the wall down coming out of 4. That was a stamp that was licked and sent, bud. Like, it was gone. I mean, he did everything it took. Like you said, that's 32 doing 32 things right there.
Absolutely, folks. And so, hey, next week, exciting announcement. Kyle Larson, of course, he'll be at 67 Speedway with the high limit sprint cars Wednesday night, April the 30th. And just announced today, driving the Kreitz Racing 69K, one of the PA Posse 410 sprint cars, Christopher Bell. He's not a Cup champion, but I believe he's a future Cup Series champion. So you're going to have Kyle Larson, Cup Series champion at 67, and future Cup champion Christopher Bell at Rocket with the Elite 410 Sprint Car Series at Rocket on May the 1st or May the 2nd. That's going to be exciting to see, folks. Go, be sure to throw that on the agenda. And as Cortland and I have been talking about, you can come over and watch Boot Hill watch Factory Stocks race for $30,000 that weekend, dude. That's pretty exciting stuff seeing Christopher Bell be at Rocket.
Yeah, to have those type of big name guys show up and come race down here, man. It's not often we don't get those kind of drivers down here too often with the sprint car scene, and to have the sprint car scene show up and show out this next couple of weeks, it's going to be really cool to be able to get the eyes in this region down there, and hopefully we all support it so we can get them down here more.
Absolutely, folks. All right, without further ado, the driver who is the wheelman of the number 56 Innovative Racing chassis, the CP Gutters racing car, Craig Pursley Jr. He's out of New Waverly, Texas. You folks here in New Waverly, Texas, listen, they got something going pretty good down there in the water in New Waverly because Tyler Erb is from there. He's making a pretty good name for himself on the national tour. And now look no further, Craig Pursley Jr. Craig, I see the $10,000 check sitting there behind you, man. Has it all really, has it sunk in yet? Have you counted your money up yet? Or are we still waiting on tire samples?
Man, we're actually still waiting on tire samples.
But you don't worry about that.
No, I ain't worried about it one bit, man. Hey, I didn't, all I did was put them tires on my car and went and race.
What is it? Like I said, has it sunk in? Like Cortland and I were talking about, when you look at this field of cars, if you just look at the top 10, it's a who's who. Whitehead, Kemp, all of them, Faulkner, all these guys are in there. And for you to have had yourself in position in these big money races in the past, but to have finally had everything to put all the pieces together to finally celebrate this win, man, how much does this mean to you?
Man, it means a lot racing with them guys and just being competitive with them, week in and week out. I got to race against Faulkner every weekend, because I like to be where he's at, and just to kind of judge myself off of his speed. And, if we're catching him and running him down and beating on his bumper, I know we're doing something good every time we travel and go somewhere.
One thing that I saw in the victory lane celebration on the RaceON clip was, it looked like the first person that was in victory lane, he was down there throwing his hands up like he I'm going to say he was more excited as you, but Dalton Faulkner was the first guy in victory lane down there celebrating with you, man. Like that, y'all's brotherhood, y'all's friendship. You used to drive his DAF chassis. Now you're in the Innovative race cars, but I know he's helped you a ton to get to where you are. What did that mean to you to have him down there in victory lane with you the other night?
Man, it meant a lot to me. I knew he was going to be there as soon as he was in the infield because, man, I seen him in the infield with 5 to go. And I seen him jumping up and down, telling me to go, and I was just telling him, man, this is all I got. I'm already nervous. My car's getting tight. I knew Mark Underwood was there. And I was just driving it. And I knew he was going to be pumped. He's then turned into one of my good supporters. So it was just me and him there that weekend too. So I really didn't have nobody come celebrate with me other than him. So
wow.
And Craig, you alluded to it. You was just driving it. I don't know if you'd ever been to Super Bee before, but man, you unloaded fast. I mean, you go out there Thursday night, set fast time on time trials, and you go out there and you win one of your heat races. And then I think finished second or third, had to pass several cars to get there. Have you ever been to Super Bee before? And if not, was there anywhere that you have raced that has any similarities to it that you could rely off any notes?
Yeah, man, we unloaded pretty fast and it felt pretty good. I made several phone calls. I've never been there before, so man, I of course Faulkner, he's telling me, man, it races like Cleveland, and I talked with Bubba Jones. He told me straight up, like, man, you can get around Cleveland, you can get around that place. Josh Martin, I talked with him about it, kind of trying to see what the track was gonna do. I watched some videos, but man, yeah, it's hard to tell when you're not on the racetrack, what it's gonna do. I mean, you can physically see the red dirt, how it's doing, but to actually get out there and feel what it's doing is something completely different. So, man, I just kind of judged off of what Cleveland does, kind of that, and attacked it that way.
Yeah, you made the mention about the your tires and I think you're a Lynn tire guy. Now with the ever evolving tire rules that we've had the last several years, I know that's become a big part. I think this year you can run 4 different compounds, XYZ, mix and match them. Is this going to become a tire game now in factory stock racing on what compound to select, or are we just going to be bolting on the standard one, or what? Are you going to tell us what you went out on and won 10,000 with, or what is this tire game going to evolve to, you think?
Man, the tire game is going to evolve into something else, man. Like I tell you, with it just, man, like I'm not a big late model guy. Like I love watching them, but I don't know the first thing about one. I know they got a bunch of stuff they can move around, but also they got a bunch of tires they can run. And you listen at their interviews and say that, man, they made the wrong tire choice and this and that, you know. And I think that's going to come down to what we got going on, you know. I'm like, I was on a tire Saturday night that I didn't have a clue about, you know. Hayden called me early Saturday morning, and he said he was coming, and he said, "Hey, I'm bringing you a right rear tire." And I said, "Well, I feel like I'm pretty good on what I got." And he said, "Have me a wheel ready." So, you know, I said, "All right, man. Well, I don't know the first thing about that tire, but if you want to go out on it, you know, I'm down. If you think it'll work." And man, the guy's a young guy. He's working his tail off. You know, he's there helping people, and he's got a lot of knowledge in these tires. And man, I've won, you know, 4 out of 5 races on his tires, and you know, every bit of it is what he told me to put on there. So, you know, the kid's knowledgeable. He's you know, he's got it going on. You know, the way he's grooving the tires and prepping them. I mean, they're just they feel good on my race car. And like I said, for him to come over there and just tell me we're running this tire for the feature, starting on the front row. I normally don't let many people tell me what to do, but hey, I trusted it, and that's what we did. You know.
Yeah.
Dude, your confidence level has to be pretty high right now, knowing that you just went to a racetrack you never raced at before. You won 10,000 against the best of the best at a track that, like I said, you haven't really raced at, but you're about to get to do this all over again. But this time for 20,000 more dollars, so 30,000 in at Boot Hill. Like I said, I feel like your confidence level has to be pretty high. But I feel like you've been around this long enough now that you know that you can't ever really get too high in this stuff because this sport can humble you really, really quickly, right?
Oh yeah, man. Like I said, man. Every time I talk to somebody, man, I don't want it to end, but I can go out today and be the fastest car and run 12th in 2 races. So, man, I'm just enjoying it while it lasts. And hey, man, if we go out and you know not make the show at the 30, if we go out and put it on the front row at the 30, you know it is what it is. You know, but I'm not gonna attack the 30 no different than I did the 10. I'm going to win. And I plan on being a threat there too. So I'm just gonna keep working hard and man, showing up to win. That's what I want to do. So
Craig, you love this stuff, don't you?
I love it. I love every bit of it. You know, I like, man, I don't know what it is about these factory stock race cars, but I like driving them. You know, I like seeing guys that, you know, and it's not anything, you know, in being any disrespectful to anybody or anything like that, but you know, it's really, you know, one of these cars are a lot different than, you know, getting in a limited or getting in a modified or getting in, you know, I've never driven anything other than a factory stock, but you know, I've seen guys that's got out of super fast and win a lot of shows in limiteds and modifieds and late models, and you know, and I pull up beside them and can pass them going down the straightaway. You know, like that's really unbelievable. And I am nobody as far as a complete, you know, awesome driver because I'm a gas man. I like to be on the gas all the time, and you know, like I don't consider myself to have as much throttle control as many other people do, but man, to you know to get out there and you know race with guys that know how to do that, you know, that know how to be in a race situation it's really cool, man. You know, to know that you know I'm in position to win and I got to outsmart the guy that's got you know a million laps behind me, you know, and like got to be where you know got to be where it counts, you know.
Craig, you said you're a smasher. You're a throttle smasher. You like the gas on it. And as of so
Yeah.
far right now, you've been hitting the loud pedal pretty good this year. You got 4 wins so far in 2025. Last year, if my race pass is correct, unless we're missing any, you only had 5. So 4 wins so far this year. Like you got to be feeling pretty sporty. You got to be confident in your program right now. Just tell us how it feels. You know, you said you know it feels awesome to win 10K, but to know that the possibility of this year to win all this money in factory stock racing, and my boy Craig Pursley, who's showing up by himself in the innovative race car can get it done. Just how confident are you going into this year?
You know, the confidence is there, man. Like I don't feel like man, I don't feel like I'm leaving nothing on the table. You know, I feel like we've done our homework with what we got going on. You know, last year, you know, I wasn't really throwing the fence at it, but I was, you know, trying to learn the new car, trying to get everything going with what we had going on. And, you know, it started clicking there at the end of the year. And man, it started really rolling, you know, really good at the end of the year, and then kind of you know, I kind of hit this little speed. I don't know if it's I get tired or you know I work outside a lot, and I mean it's no excuse, but you know it is hot sometimes, and you know sometimes you just man, whatever, just let's go drive it, and that right there will get you into a 10th to 15th place car, just letting stuff go and letting not taking care of your equipment like you should, and just, showing up with the attitude of, man, it's hot out here. I wish I was at home watching TV or sitting in the AC, like, cause that right there will change your mind, so, cause it is, it gets hot out there, and, man, most of the big money shows are when it's 100 degrees outside. So, but man, the confidence was, starting off the year winning the Texas Grand, that was something that, looking at, sitting in this grandstands, I didn't start racing until I was 28, man. So like I sat in the stands a lot and I watched, Howard and, Dalton and Dalton's dad go out there just wearing them out every weekend, and just, them guys just putting on a show at the Texas Grand and winning 3 or 4 of them. Bubba Seals, ain't no telling how many he's won. I've watched him several times win a bunch of races at that Grand. And I said, man, like I didn't even want to go a factory stock racing in Ark-La-Tex. I just wanted to win the Texas Grand. And, like I've only attempted that race 3 times and almost won it one year and messed up and spun somebody out and got sent to the rear. And then, I ended up fortunate enough to win it at the first of the year. So, man, that was the highlight. That right there is, I can win that 30. I can win another 10. I can win the King of the Hill. But man, that $2,000 uh Texas Grand is my, that right there is the
Awesome.
top of them right now. So
That's cool. That's their home
yeah,
racetrack.
it was. Yeah, it was right here at Cleveland, and then I'll back it up the next weekend and win again at Cleveland, just a regular Saturday night series, and then go again and win again, and then I go over there to Cotton Bowl and Faulkner, he does Faulkner things, and just he gets me over there. So uh man, it's just it's pretty fun to be on top right now. Like I said, man, I can run 10th next week and be perfectly fine with it. But I'm just gonna keep working and keep going, man.
We've seen the chassis manufacturing game and factory stock racing evolve a lot. I'd say over the last 12, 15 years, like since Justin started building a mass quantity of outlaw race cars. And then Jason Ingles even attempted the IRP for a few years. Sean Graham had one, and then Shane Bear had an Express. And obviously we've seen these innovative race cars, right? Stephen Whitaker Jr., Chris Brown, running them down, in the central Texas area and having success with them. But to my knowledge, you're the first and only ever innovative race car. Joey Smith builds these, correct? And have you talked to Joey? Like, I'm sure that whenever he found out you won this race, and I'm sure he may have been watching the broadcast, but like that has to be really neat too, to put this car in Victor Lane and like say innovative race cars right on the map and these factory stocks as well, not just in limited modifieds.
That's without a doubt. Joey was pretty pumped about it. But man, Joey's he's a real confident person. He knows what he builds can go out and win. And that's really what I like about Joey, man, is he stays on top of technology, man. He stays on top of these cars. He stays on top of what makes speed. And man, to just have him in my back pocket, like, dude, I just feel like, man, I got one of the best, building me a car, and and just I can call him at any time of the day. Shoot, I can call him right now, and we'll talk about race cars for 3 or 4 hours. And he just, man, he's really good at what he does, man. He's real meticulous. He's man, nothing goes out that shop that is not perfect. Like man. His business, ID manufacturing, it's spot on with what he does. And man, to just be even in one of his race cars, feels cool, because there's not many. But he just did finish another innovative race car. There's one more out there, and Ray Allen Kahanick drove it Saturday night at Cleveland, and
Right.
started 12th and won the thing. So I mean, the man puts out one of the best products out there. There's just not many of them. So and not to knock him or not to anything. I hope he don't build no more. I don't want to race against them every weekend. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I
I
feel
mean,
like
like I
you and
said,
Ray
that's
Allen.
his business,
Yeah.
but
I feel like you and Ray Allen Kulhanick being in these two cars, like I'm not sure you even need another guy. Like you two could carry your own weight. Like he's an ASCS Gulf South champion. I thought it's been pretty neat watching him. Like he's such a versatile driver, and I think him being in one of these cars is only going to help you probably in the long run, right?
yeah, sometimes, me and Ray, we don't agree on things just because I'm hard headed. I used to run around with him in those ASCS days, being his helper and
Yeah.
crew chief and this and that, and to hear you say, ASCS champion, he'll say, oh, I'm a 5-time champion. You know what I mean? He's gonna correct you. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah, hell
hey,
yeah.
Yeah, but he really is good. He talked to me Friday. He tell me where I was messing up, which is 90% of the time. He's gonna tell me I messed up doing something. And then Saturday night, he called me, man. They was right there. You should have did this on your entry. And I said, man, I don't care, Ray. I won 10 grand. I don't care. I said, just that's how we talk to each other, And like I told him, I said, yeah, you over there cherry picking at Cleveland, just jacking with him, And he gets pretty fired up over stuff like that. So, but he did call me on the way home. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm driving home, and he's driving home to Corpus, and he was telling me, he's like, man. Because hey, we're real competitive with each other, and like, man, I'll probably never win the amount of races that dude's won, or the money he's won, or has gone as fast as he has. But he ain't ever won a 10,000 to win show.
I love
You know
it.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm gonna tell him that till he does.
Oh,
I
Craig,
love
I just want.
it.
Oh yeah, you gotta love
Hey,
it, man. That's,
let Craig win this 30,000. You ain't gonna be able to tell him nothing.
Oh no! There ain't, you know what I mean? Like that's what I was talking with Bubba Jones on the way over to Super B the other night, and I told him that. I said, "Bud, if I win that 30, then there ain't nobody else that's done it that can tell me anything." You know what I mean? Like ain't nobody
Hell
on.
yeah.
You're gonna line up 24 of the factory stocks that show up there. That any 24 of them cars gonna win that race. Like there just ain't no doubt about it. And like I'm more excited about it because I want to be a part of it. But I can tell you this, man, like the past 2 years, I ain't made the 10,000 to win show at Boot Hill. So,
Yeah.
man, I just, it could be, I might not even make that show. So, like I said, man, it's very humbling. And you could go home on the trailer just as well as, however many cars they got, 80 cars. You could go home with 80 cars that were fast race cars that get sent home, So, I'm just looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to how they do the format. Like I kind of like that alphabet soup. I like to race. So, I don't. I mean, if I got to come through a D main, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna have a good time doing it too. So, I just like I said, I just like driving my race car. If we sit on the front row, we do. If we got to go to the D main, hey man, it is what it is. But yeah, I'm just looking forward to that.
we can tell Craig, my boy Craig Pursley Jr. is a vibe, Zach. I'm telling you, this man
Oh my
loves
Yeah,
racing.
God.
Don't tell him
Yes.
nothing for the next week. When he wins that 30K,
yeah.
don't talk to him the rest of the year. The man's gonna be checked out. But
Oh yeah,
behind you, you
man.
got the
We're gonna have a good
behind,
time. We win that 30,000.
I'll be there to party with you, Craig. You ain't gonna be by yourself. But
Hell
behind you,
yeah.
you got that 56 door hanging up. Does that where did the number come from, man? I like the backstories. I raced, I took my dad's number, and it means a lot now that I got to race it even after he passed. I like to hear the stories behind some guys' numbers, or maybe you just randomly picked the number and said, hey, 56 is gonna look cool on the side of my race car. Where did the number come from?
Man, I was 13F for a long time, and
Yeah.
or for the first 3 years. Well, I kind of took that. My wife, she wasn't really into the racing, and she was a pretty good basketball player when she was in school. She was like, well, she went to the state championship or whatever and played, and they won. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do the 13, and then F standing for Fallon, my little girl. So she was my firstborn. So I just put that on the door. And man, I couldn't get nothing going with a 13 car. I blamed it on my number. And then, I let Faulkner drive it. He backs it in the wall over there at TMS that year. And man, I just told him, I said, dude, something's got to give. Like the car come off the trailer, and on the way to Manny that first, I won with it. And the next night, it gets totaled, and it had a
Wow.
13 on the door. And then Faulkner totals it. And then, I go from there, and I'm like, man, we got to try something different. So man, Ray Allen Kahonic's grandpa, that was his favorite number, and he told me straight up all the time, 56. You cannot go wrong with a black 56. A black race car is a fast race car. And that stuck with me ever since. And the first night I changed my number, I almost won that race over at Ark-La-Tex. So
Wow.
it was pretty cool. That's right. Yeah, yeah. So
Sealed
ever
the
since
deal
then,
for you.
man, that's right.
Sealed the deal
Black
for
race
you.
cars. That's what, this race car, I raced it all last year and didn't even powder coat the frame. We just run it rusty, just to see how everything was going to go. And, of course, I powder coated it black and black body and, all my friends, Dylan, Craig and them damn black race cars. Faulkner, Craig and them black race cars, like that. That's going to stick with me forever, man. I probably won't ever have nothing but a black race car. So.
You mentioned that Mike Parker Memorial, right? You alluded to that. That
Yeah.
was the first race you ran 56, and I wasn't aware of that, and I was going to bring that up earlier. How much did that run at Ark-La-Tex, that second place finish to Cody Myers in that 5,000 win Mike Parker race, give you the confidence to know that, like, hey, I can run with these guys and I can beat these guys. I know you've had some runs prior to that moment, but for that to be that moment in that big race, right, when you come to Ark-La-Tex and run so well, that had to have been the light bulb going off. Like, man, we can win one of these things going forward.
Yeah, it was good. Like, man, unfortunately, it didn't pay me $0 because I got
I remember.
DQ'd over there with the compression. But like, man, it's just a super simple, just a turn of a valve. Like Mr. Dennis. I mean, he didn't mean to do that. Hey, I didn't check it. Like that was a brand new motor out that weekend. I hot lapped it and it felt good, so I just left it alone. Got through all weekend. And man, I pumped over what compression's supposed to be. And hey, man, rules are rules. You take it and go on. But like it happens. Like I've seen. I think I was the second one that night that got popped for compression. So. Like I've seen a lot of guys get popped over that, and it might have just been, the way the valves were set. Like it was, and the next weekend I reset the valves when I got to my shop, and went out and started on the front row of the 10,000 over there at Boot Hill. And man, it just happens. But yeah, that gave me a lot. That right there was the race that put me to where, man, I know I can do this. Like I know because it was getting to the point to where, like, man, if I don't do something soon, I'm just, man, just go to playing tennis or something. I don't know. Like I need to find something else. You ride my buggy or go mess with the cows or go do something like that because, man, I just felt like, I don't know, like it's so much time and so much effort that gets put in this to run up front. Like it's unbelievable. Like, man, everybody shows up with a fast race car, man. Everybody. You're not going to out money anybody. The person who, you can show up with the most expensive race car that you could possibly buy and be a 15th place car. So it's really humbling the way these cars are, man. Like it really is.
Absolutely, man. I feel like when opportunity meets preparation, I mean, I feel like you have been prepared for this moment, and man, you just kicked down the door to it. You've been in contention. You've been fast everywhere around that you go, man. And it was really neat to see. Like, it'd have been cool if Dalton won. It'd have been cool if just anybody. I don't really care who wins these races, man. It's just cool to see a guy that I know that has paid his dues. And man, you've logged the laps up and down, miles in your personal truck up and down the road to chase this racing, and for it to come full circle. It is nice that we have factory stock races that pay the amount of money that it does, because I just know how much you guys grind at this stuff, man. And so I know it's nice to be rewarded for those efforts, man, because like this shit, like we said, it just ain't easy, and it's not getting any easier. But man, it's really neat to see guys like you get rewarded for your efforts.
Yeah, it's really good, man. Like all the times that I've spent out there, beat my head against the wall because I did something stupid, like, man, maybe put his right rear spring in and I thought it was gonna work, and just look like a clown, and make just make the wrong choices, getting the car too tight, just getting it to where I thought it needed to be instead of just leaving it alone and watching the racetrack, But now with these tires that they gave us, man, we can groove these tires, and man, they work so well on the racetrack. Like, man, you can move around. You can free your car up by just changing your entry. You can free your car up by just running where everybody else ain't. And man, just giving us that it's just phenomenal. Like I didn't know how long I was gonna last with the KK days. Like, man, them tires, them guys that run them limiteds, them guys that run them late models, that are their own team and have to buy them tires, man. That I'm the type, I want to go out there every time I touch the racetrack with some fresh rubber. And man, it got
Hmm.
expensive when we swapped to them KKs. You know what I mean? Like, cause
Oh yeah.
man, I was getting flats, and like, dude, you get a flat, that's $180 bill. You know what I mean? You go
Yeah.
out there and
Oh
wheel
yeah.
bang somebody, like, man. We was tearing up, more front ends and more control arms and ball joints and rear ends and axles, because, man, I just felt like when you went in there and if you leaned on somebody or rubbed with somebody, like the wheel was taking the beating. It wasn't the outside of the tire. Like these F45s, the 10-inch wide tires, man, you can go in there and wheel bang off each other, and you might wheel hop somebody or bend something, but man, you ain't just gonna tear up something that's metal to metal. So But other than that, man, like I really think that these cars are the ticket. You know, I feel like we're getting, man, these things are race cars now. So
Yeah.
um, I'm just happy to be in one. You know.
Mhm.
You happy to be in one, happy to be racing. Looking back, Craig, you average about the 18 to 25 races a year. What does the rest of your year look like, man? Because I know after winning this 10,000, I know you've got to be you got to be itching to get back at the racetrack. But what does the rest of your year look like? Do you plan on racing 35 times this year, or are you gonna stick to that normal 18, 20, and just come hit all the big shows?
Yeah, you know, I'm gonna stick to my same schedule. You know, just go hit what I want to hit. You know, I don't have anybody pressuring me to go race. I don't have anybody telling me to go race. You know, but I'm gonna concentrate really hard on this 30. You know, like right now, man, my car's sitting there on the lift, and then it ain't got a body piece on it. It ain't got the rear end in it. It ain't got the shocks on it. You know, like it is in pieces right now. And I came home and I ripped it all apart and going to get it ready for the 30. And then after the 30, you know, we got a couple weekends off. I might hit the Triple Crown. I enjoy doing that if they're going to have that again this year. And then
We are.
Justin's race is coming up after that. And then I'll probably go hit Cleveland, you know, 3 or 4 times after that. You know, just go do that. We got a big trip planned in July 4th weekend, so I'll take a couple weeks off for that and go do that. And then get ready for the 10,000. That's really my next crown that I want to win, and the only one reason I want to win it is Faulkner ain't won it yet. I want to win it before he does. So, and I jack with him all the time about it. You know, he snake bit at that race, and I just he's one of my good friends. I jack with him, and I tell him I want to win that one. You know, so that's the next one. You know, win the King of the Hill or race the King of the Hill. You know, however it goes about. But I want to do that, and then kind of get ready for just the end of the year. You know, I want to go to Ark-La-Tex again. That was one of my favorite racetracks, man. I didn't even go there all year last year, so
Mhm.
I'd like to get back over there and do that. And I told myself, at the first of the year, I wanted to go to them black tracks more. You know, like man, I am absolutely terrible at them black tracks. I don't know what it
Mm.
is. I don't know why. I got a black race car, but man, I cannot get around a black racetrack. You know, I go over to RPM or like I've never been to Rocket. I want to go there. I want to go back to RPM a couple times. Go over there to Waco and see them guys over there and race around with them. You know, because I like all them guys. You know, man, they show up every week. They have a B main, and they get it on over there. And them guys race, and I need to get myself more acclimated to the black tracks and get it to where I can just get myself to where I can get around there. Like the last time I was at RPM, man, I didn't even make the show. You know, I come off of a fifth place finish at Boot Hill, and we go over there, and man, I can't even get in the show. And I don't know if it's like I can't see what's going on or but man, hats off to them guys that run them black tracks. You know, like them guys are unbelievable, man. They'll race there every weekend and enjoy it, man. I race there and I race in hot laps and say, man, I this ain't for me. My car won't turn. If I do get it turned, I spin out and then I go out there with the dang track and it's slick. Like I'm driving a jet ski. You know what I mean? Like it's tough, man. And like Faulkner, he can act. He gets around there good. And shoot, man, I go there with him and try to follow him. Like, man, this ain't for me. So I really did say at the first of the year I was going to try and go over there and get out of my comfort zone and get better there. But man, with the way the red dirt's going this year, I might just stay in my lane and let them guys have it. You know what I mean?
Well, if we ever see the results, or we're watching, and you pick up a win at RPM or Rocket, any of these black tracks that you say right now that you aren't very good at, then we'll know that you've stepped your game up to a whole nother level, and your race car is obviously really, really good too. But the driver must have done his job, and he must have learned, because we're going to keep our eyes on that. Like you seem to have had the red dirt stuff figured out, but that is interesting, like how certain drivers, how they differentiate between what tracks they're good at and the ones that they're not, right? Like it is, I mean, it's
Right.
not like asphalt racing. The dirt always changes, like some tracks take rubber more than others. It is, man.
Yep.
It's always a guessing game, right? Like dirt track races are never perfect science. And that's what makes this fun, right? And then, like you alluded to, you've got Ray Allen Colhannock, you got Dalton Faulkner here that you get to talk a little bit of shit to every now and then. And that only
That's
helps
right.
you improve too. Like as a racer, like y'all
Right.
come away, you can talk a little shit to these guys. Like that only going to make Ray Allen better. And I promise you, Dalton, wants to come back and get the better of you when Boot Hill races in a
Oh,
couple of weeks. Like he can't let this 56 beat you again. Like that shit ain't happening.
he ain't, and he's not going to, and I don't expect him to neither. You know, like we're going to
Yeah.
race each other hard, and I mean, it's one of those things. People know when we get around each other, we're going to race. Like, and about 90% of the time, he's going to get the best of me because like he already knows. And I expected him to be there the other night, just like he was. Like I expected. I said, if there's if there's anybody in this field that's going to wild man it's going to be him. And I expected, with the top being there. I figured he'd be railing around the top, diming into corners, driving off the bottom. Like I just expected him to be all over. And I drove it off in the corner one time, and man, we went 3 wide, and I went in there, and man, my car was getting so tight on the longer runs, and it just like when we first took off. I was really good, and my car was right where it needed to be, and I kind of followed Mark, and Mark's got a lot of laps around that place, man. He's really good. He gets around there in the late model, he gets around there in the limited, and I know in the factory stock he gets around there. Like he can do it. If anybody can do it there, it's going to be Mark. And I seen him at the first race where he was kind of free. When I kind of just got in the gas a little bit faster than him, and was hooked up, and I drove around him, and then as the race went on, you can watch the video, man. His car came to him, and he was one of the fastest race cars on the racetrack. And I just so happened to have track position, and kind of just I didn't say I can hit my marks because man, no matter where I went, my car was tight, and there wasn't nothing I could do about it other than just pray I was far enough ahead or just stay on the bottom of the racetrack. But but being like that, knowing that them guys are there, knowing that everybody's on top of you, man, it's tough, man. Like it really is. I got a little picture that I keep on the wall in my shop of, it's a meme that I seen one time and I screenshot it and I put it on the wall. It's Johnny Depp running from all them guys in the ocean, a bunch of pirates. Like they're chasing him. And that's what
Yeah.
it feels like leading one of them races, man. Like that's
I
exactly what it
bet.
feels like. Is just like a
That's
little
awesome.
chicken. They're coming after you. So that's how I felt the other night. Because
Dude,
I didn't know what the track was gonna do, and when it come around, man, I was not prepared as far as my setup was, to be where I was at.
dude, you're awesome. Has anybody ever told you that? Like you're an awesome guy, man. Like really, like just
Man,
like you
I'm
listen,
just
I've
speaking the
been doing
truth.
this.
That's how I am.
You are. But I love that, man.
Yeah,
I love that about you. And
yeah.
it's not that other guys aren't, but like you are very, very good at describing your race car. You're like really good at all of this. And I wish that we had talked to you more in the past, man. And it's not that we haven't, but like really like Cortland even said, he said, man, that Craig's going to be awesome. And Colin Bell even spoke highly. Like, man, Craig Pursley's a great interview. And I think I've interviewed you in the past, but I mean, really, man, like, thank you so much for your time tonight, man. Like, we really, really thoroughly enjoyed having you on, man. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, no problem. And I plan on speaking to y'all about this 30,000 too, but I'm gonna have it laying right here on the
Hey,
table with me when we're talking about it.
I'd love
Huh?
it. I'd love
Yeah,
it.
hey,
if
yeah,
I'd
my
love it.
if my wife ain't got
love
it all
that
spent
confidence.
yet, because
Yeah,
she it's coming. Hey, I'm trying to
yeah.
hide that
Uh,
10,000 when it comes in. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah. Before before we get completely out of here, man, I know we mentioned innovative race cars and Joey Smith and the CP gutters, CP seamless gutters. I believe that's your business. Who do you want to thank? Who anybody you want to thank? It could be your parent, anybody you want to thank that's helped you get to this point with your racing program. I'm gonna give you an opportunity to thank anybody you'd like to.
Yeah, man. First of all, my wife and kids, they put up with so much of this. Like I said, man, they're in there right now getting ready to go to bed. My wife, she's awesome. She takes care of everything, and like, man, all I got to do is go in there and take a shower and go to bed, and she's exactly, perfect for what we got going on. And man, she takes care of everything. So I appreciate her. Appreciate my kids for putting up with it. Like they see me out here working, and they why ain't you in the pool, or why ain't you over here, like they deal with a lot, and I just appreciate them putting up with it. Man, I had a couple sponsors come on board this year, like Lynn Tires, man. That, like I said, that guy right there, he's come on, he's young. he's ambitious. He's on a lot of race cars, and man, he wants to get his product out there. And as long as I can do it, man, I'm gonna continue to support the guy. I like somebody who's ambitious. Because he's trying to do it. So hats off to him. Lynn Tires. Man, my brother with Broken J Ag Services, he comes over here and drinks all my beer and watches me work and kind of messes with me all the time, So I got to put him on the car just because, most of the time he's here with me. So, Dylan Alaska, my boy Dylan, he's going to be with
Oh,
me
yeah.
after 30, So the Flying Hawaiian will be there on the
Hawaiian,
wrenches.
yes.
Yeah, he'll be there. Slaughter's Diesel Repair, man, that's my he married into the family, he's my cousin's husband, and he works on my motor homes, he does my trucks, and he pretty much just, he helps me out more than he should. So I appreciate him. I got another sponsor that come on board, Texas Pride Metal Buildings, Mr. Gordon Fisher. Man, he supports me, man. I put gutters on all of his buildings. He needs something, I go get it taken care of for him. So I appreciate him a lot. Man, Joey Smith, Doug Ivy, them two guys right there, man, they never quit. Man, I can pick up the phone, like I said, right now and call them. And man, we need a rear end tomorrow. We'll have it, we'll have it tomorrow by 5. Or if we need, a front end kit, like them guys will put it together. Whatever I need, they're very supportive of what I got going on. And man, sometimes I don't feel like I deserve, to have some guys like that. But man, it feels really nice to have them guys behind me. And I got a couple of Mr. KCC, Mr. Bud Clayberg. He come on board this year. He helps me out tremendously with whatever I need. Calls me every day. If it's, man, you need something, I got you. I'll take care of it. So I really appreciate that. And then Kenny Montgomery, he's a big supporter. He calls me and jacks with me every other day, and we kind of hit each other with just some jokes and shit all the time. So Kenny's good to me, man. He really is. Man, and that's probably just about it I got on there, man. And Chris Brown, can't do without him. Old modified racer, he's pretty good, and
Great
he
dude.
takes care of me on stuff. So yeah, it's man, that's just about it, man. Just everybody who helps me out, I appreciate them very much.
Absolutely, man. We appreciate your time so much tonight, man. Behind every winner and every champion, it doesn't matter if you're down to if you're playing baseball on the high school or whatever level, it doesn't matter. If any sport, there's always a great group of people typically that are behind supporting somebody, man. I know you couldn't do this without a lot of great people behind you, man. So I appreciate you mentioning all them people, and man, congratulations to you. Like you've really earned this opportunity to really celebrate a victory like this. I texted you Saturday night as soon as the race is over. I mean, just to tell you congratulations, because
Yeah.
I mean, and listen, I would have texted Dalton, I would have texted Justin, I'd have texted anybody that won the race and told them congratulations, because I know how much it means to you guys to be able to race for that kind of money, to be able to cash in is just a whole nother level of awesome, right? It's one thing to talk about it, it's one thing to race in, it was one thing to follow all the way through and get the job done, man. And you did that on Saturday night, man. And I expect you'll have your hat into the ring going forward in all these other races this season, man. Thank you so much for your time tonight, Craig, on behalf of Cortland and I here on Clark After Dark. And awesome, man. And best of luck to you the rest of the year, man. We can't wait to see what all unfolds.
All right, man. Thank y'all. I'll see y'all at Boot Hill.
There he is,
Later,
folks.
Craig.
That's Craig Pursley Jr. at a New Waverly, Texas. I'm not sure how far from Cut and Shoot that is, but it's probably not too far, but it's close enough for Dalton Faulkner to continue to give him shit, and Ray Allen Cole-Hannick's just not too far either. But dude, Cortland, you told me the other day like Craig's gonna be awesome, and he's that, man. Like that guy's really cool. Like we got to know him a little bit more through that. You can kind of see what kind of personality he has, and the man behind the steering wheel. And like, I don't know of anybody who could dislike somebody after hearing him talk for 35-40 minutes.
Yeah, you can't, man. The first time I met him, we was at Ark-La-Tex, the classic, and he was looking for a radiator hose, and he come over to the trailer, and just you could tell he's just one of those people that their personality just far exceeds anything you can imagine. And what a great guy he is. Zach, before we left the show last time, you said somebody that nobody's thinking about is going to win one of these big factory stock races, right? And I don't think a lot of people had Craig Pursley in that mix. And honestly, I'm happy for him, man. What a dude. Like you said, he goes to race. Oh yeah, I did. I said after
you did. You picked him. You picked him.
I picked him.
Yeah.
Dude, man, at 105, he's been fast, dude. Like that 56 had speed, man. Like you can't deny it when you watch him. Like and he tells you like he makes mistakes. He knows that. But
Yeah.
when he puts it together, dude, like that car is fast. He likes to smash the loud pedal.
Yeah.
He's good.
One thing I wanted to talk to him about that we didn't quite get to was just how wide open the competition seems to be right now, because Dalton hasn't been dominating like, I don't know. I mean, it just seems to be wide open. Like we could name off 10 to 15 guys right now. I mean, there'll be 125, I would imagine, plus at this race. But I mean, there's like those 10 to 15 that you're going to name that would expect to be the ones that are going to really be a factor. But you never know. Anybody like Marcus Caudill won the inaugural King of the Hill, and nobody had him on their bingo card to win that race because he wasn't in his typical 15A car. He was driving for Cole Smith, a guy that, a car we hadn't really seen compete, and it won the race, right? So, I mean, you really never know. And, man, I'm excited about that 30K, dude. I know we talk about it every single week. It's just we're getting closer and closer, and, we're right on it. We're right on it. Golly, I'm just praying for good weather.
Yeah, good weather's gonna be the most important thing in this deal. And like you said, the storylines are endless. There's no dominating factor, and there's no, right now it's just, man, I feel like this is as wide open as factory stock has been in a long time. Even with all the tire changes and a lot of changes from regular old Ark-La-Tex rules to USRA rules, there's always been those one or two that have always dominated. And right now, it just seems like it's as wide open as it's ever been, and just as competitive as this class is. The 30,000 can't get here fast enough, and I pray the good Lord blesses us with some good weather.
We didn't get to talk. I mean, we did talk about Ark-La-Tex a little there. I just know we had Craig waiting around. I know I kept alluding to that when we were talking about that other thing. So we didn't really dive deep into, a lot of the racing like we typically do because we had Craig on. But hey, Craig was deserving of that. And I didn't know that he went on with Revved Up and Rodney Rodriguez, but hopefully we got a little bit different stuff out of him than maybe they did. But it's fine. I mean, it's all fine. I wasn't aware, but either way, like I would have had Craig on anyway. I try to mix it up and separate, because if you saw Craig over there, then, what do you expect to hear from him over here that'll be different? But maybe we got something a little bit different. He's a character and he can talk. So I promise you'll hear some stuff over here that he didn't tell anybody over there. So, Cortland, do you have any additional thoughts before we wrap this up?
Man, no, not really. This weekend coming up, I know there's nothing, it seems like every other weekend we got a big race around here somewhere or another, but this weekend just looks to be about standard, regular Saturday night action from just about everywhere, unless something slip in my mind. And, I think, you heard it from him right there. All attention now is on the 30,000. I know people they're going to be happy when we finally get to it and we quit talking about it, but at least in the factory stock world, you can expect a lot of guys they're starting the prep now. The prep work is beginning now, and it's just going to be a heck of a weekend. Hope everybody can avoid this weather this week. I know the next 3 days, I mean, heck, I've been watching it thunder and lightning outside the window all night. So weather's looking iffy. Hope everybody that plans on scheduled racing gets it in, and we're 1 week away, man. I know some people are tired of hearing me talk about it, but we're 1 week away.
Well, if they're tired of hearing us talk about it, then they're just not excited about it. I don't know. Anyway,
Their
they
feet
were just
stink.
overamped. Oh my,
Maybe.
Yeah, well, it's a bad problem to have. All right, folks. He's Cortland Smith. He's Cortland Smith. I'm Zach Clark. We're the boys. We're men. We're grown. We're from the boot though. Here we are. I don't know. Love you guys. Yeah. Everybody, please be blessed and be a blessing. Go pick a racetrack. Go support it this weekend, or watch it live on RaceON. Your support, no matter however you choose to take in the action. If you watch it on RaceON, you're still supporting the sport. So thank you guys for doing that. And find a racetrack. Ark-La-Tex is racing this Saturday night again, as well as 67 on Friday night. It'll be their final race before their big Wednesday night high limit race on April the 30th. Again, ton of fun with Craig Pursley tonight. Episode 32, Clark After Dark signing out. We'll see you next time.